Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Wrestling Reaction. It's me, Lee Carter, and Graves with me. We're going to recap the Royal Rumble
Oh, did
and
guys?
Monday Night Raw. But let's start off with the Royal Rumble. Graham, what did you think of the show?
Overall, good show. Really good show. I think from the last episode when we gave our predictions, we didn't do too well. Got a few right, but some pleasant surprises there with the outcome. And overall, I thought it was a good performance. It was solid, and it's definitely opened up a lot of windows of opportunity moving forwards.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it furthered some storylines. It was a surprise, it's not the biggest surprise with regards to the winners, but there was some surprises in there as well, which we'll move on to. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a very good show. I enjoyed it. I haven't had Rumbles for a few years that have kept my interest the whole way through both Rumbles for a few years. There's been sort of like good bits and a little bit less interesting bits with a lot of rest holds and waiting for other entrants. Whereas they kept a lot of content in there for this Rumble, but that didn't take away from the surprise entrances and stuff. So it was a great show. It was a great show, and it made me look forward to watching more. Let's start off with the women's tag team match, which we both went for Charlotte and Asuka, but we were wrong. We underestimated Ric Flair and Lacey Evans' involvement in it.
Yeah, I think we also underestimated the power of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Credit to them. I'm not too sure whether they're going to go with this. How long Jax and Baszler hold on to the titles for. But you can see that Flair and Lacey are going to be around for some time to come as well, interfering with Charlotte. So good to see that progress, especially after, I think was it last year that Charlotte turned on Flair. So it's almost like it's a swap around. So, or as Booker T would say, a switcheroonie.
Switcheroonie.
So
but yeah, no, I agree with you.
It
was a decent match. It didn't last as long as I thought it would, but it was, like I say, it was on the pre-show, so didn't have that much time to take, and you had a lot of it was Lacey and Rick's interference, ending with Rick giving Lacey the mystery item, which we never actually saw if she actually had an item or with it. She then balled her fist and somehow managed to hit her with the item through her fist
or something.
She hit her through her fist with the mystery item, which means she obviously has got some power with that right hand, that woman's right. But no, like I say, I'm interested to see where they go with it.
Not a right hand I'd want to get behind.
No, definitely not. I'm interested to see where they go with it. It keeps some interest in the women's tag titles, which is good. I don't want them to get stale again, like they did a little while ago before. And also, the only problem with Asuka that I've had is that she's been taking a lot of the pins when there's been non-title matches and stuff, which is not good for the Raw Women's Champion. Whereas this, with Shayna and Nia, they can put pins between them. Sorry, my cat has just decided to play with my wires. They can sort of split the pinfalls against them and eventually lose them to a team that has been really built up properly.
Yeah, the only thing for me is, I've said it before several times, I'm not a huge fan of double champions when it comes to the tag belts and the championship belt. I think they've probably done, although we predicted Asuka and Charlotte to win, they've probably done the right thing, because that now sets on the path to get Asuka moving forward with the women's championship. They can probably put a feud in with Charlotte and Lacey heading towards WrestleMania. Obviously, that frees up Asuka, like I say, to focus on the women's championship. And like I say, taking the pins, it kind of discredits Asuka a little bit. Doesn't book her as a strong champion, so she needs to build that back up ahead of WrestleMania.
100%, yeah. Okay, let's move on. The first match of the main card. Sorry, my notes have gone away for a second. It was Drew versus Goldberg. I wasn't expecting this to go on first.
No, me neither. I thought it was a wise move in the end, though. Goldberg,
Yeah.
obviously, he's not there for the Iron Man matches anymore, is he? I still go back to what we discussed last time. It was almost like it was a lazy booking. It was very last minute, sort of thrown together. And it turned out to me to be kind of like a filler match. Very surprised that they went with Drew for the win, but let's quite pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I've not got the brew here for Drew today, but I did notice that. I did note that on Twitter the other day. Hashtag brew for Drew. So yeah, it's the right result, and like you said, you know, it was a match that was going to be pretty much full of finishes and how often somebody kicks out, and a good start to the main program.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was all action. That's what you kind of expected with all the finishers. They had a couple of minutes outside where they, you know, like throwing each other into stuff and hitting moves on the outside, which was nice to see. And then they came back inside and they did the finishers back and forth. Like I say, I've never been so happy to be wrong about a prediction. I assumed that Goldberg was going to move on, win, because he obviously brings the ratings. But yeah, no, I'm happy. Sorry.
I think looking back on it, we've got to say that Goldberg was probably the right person to bring in, especially with Drew just having COVID and not want to push him too hard too quickly.
Yeah.
So probably the right match in the end with the situation. But yeah, all done and done. You know, Drew can move forward. Goldberg, we'll see what happens with him moving forward.
He's got
especially with the sort of respectful ending that they had.
I was a little bit worried they were going to do some sort of turn so they could continue the feud for a couple of minutes with the stairs and the sort of, I'll give you the respect. And I thought they were thinking about it, but I obviously didn't happen, which was good. I didn't think the feud needed to go any longer, even with a proper build. I think that's probably the sort of match that they would put on second time if they did it again. So I didn't think it needed it. But yeah, like I say, it was good for what it was. I'm glad Drew won. It's going to set up some decent feuds going forward. Whereas Goldberg, you kind of know he has sort of 2-3 appearances a year, so you know he's not going to be around. So
yeah,
put the title on him at this point would be probably a WrestleMania loss, and then that would be the end of it. I'm glad, and I think, like I say, Drew is one of those people who they are booking around. They're not sort of burying him at any point. They're making sure he stays strong even when he loses. Even when he lost to Randy, he won it straight back, and he looked strong in defeat. So this was very good. I enjoyed it, but like I say, it was a little bit thrown together. But it's a typical Goldberg match. Goldberg's not going to go for 20-30 minutes. He's one of those big power moves and go. The jackhammer, I think he needs to take the jackhammer out of his moveset though, because although it's exciting to think, oh, he's going to jackhammer Drew McIntyre, there's about second or third time where he's kind of not landed that jackhammer quite right and could potentially have caused some hurt for Drew. But we'll see if he uses it going forward.
Yeah.
Right, next up was...
I'm moving forward for Goldberg, perhaps.
Yeah. Go on.
So say moving forward for Goldberg, perhaps it's the next match for him could be Triple H at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
2 days to fill. That'd be a good match to have.
Yeah, like a Legends match. That'd be everyone. I mean, I'm always happy to see Goldberg. He's a good wrestler. He's a great draw, and he brings that intimidation with him. And he gets that pop every time he comes. Especially if there's going to be fans this year, which there may well be. But I think it's got to be something like a Legends match. I don't think he should be challenging for any more titles anytime soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up was Carmella versus Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, both went right on this one, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
had to be Banks, definitely. No two questions, had to be Banks. As I said in the last episode, I think we're looking towards the Banks Belair match at WrestleMania. I think now they've got a great chance to almost turn Sasha. You know, she's had a face run. She works great as a face or as a heel.
Yeah.
They're obviously very high on Belair. For me, I don't think you can have a face versus face match at WrestleMania.
No.
That is obviously the match we want to see. So I think for me, Sasha's got to turn heel. So we'll see what comes on SmackDown on Saturday morning for us. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But yeah, given the flirting with Reginald, we could see that turn sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, it was a good match. Again, another fairly quick match, which I think is what it needed to be. It didn't need to be dragged out too long. Carmella's still, bouncing back. More to come from her in the future, without doubt. But yeah, right victory, and an all-round decent performance.
Yeah, I thought it was a great match. It was a real good match. For one that didn't go too quickly. It didn't go too sort of long in the running, obviously. I think both women got their spots in. They both looked good. I'm never a fan of a quick tap out. Like they had Carmella tap out very quickly. The actual leading to that, with her grabbing the arm and then getting her down, looked a little bit clunky. But I like the match. Reginald, he was ejected for being dived on and then being punched. So, which didn't seem really fair to me, but he's a heel, so it doesn't matter. I suppose is the answer to that one.
and more to come from Reginald, definitely.
Yeah, more to come from Reginald. I think he's a good character. He's got some athleticism as well, doing those flips and stuff. So he's obviously a wrestler in reality, I believe. I don't know, but he did have quite a funny match with Sasha a few weeks ago. Sasha's easy to turn as well. She's halfway there. She plays that cocky face, which is very easy to go from cocky face to cocky heel. She almost has the heel traits even when she's the face. So I see that being the case. I don't see them turning Belair anytime soon. I think that's going to be the feel good moment.
No, and Sasha's still got the heel music.
Yeah, she's still got the heel music that she had with when she was tag team champions with Bayley, so she hasn't changed it to a sort of a different face music, and I think that's always going to be her music. To be honest, I think she'll switch face and heel over the course of her career. But yeah, I think she's good enough to be either, and she's good enough to just switch between. You don't have to tweak the character too much to make that the case, and that's how I see it. I don't see it going face versus face on the way in. I expect Banks to be disregarding Belair as a fluke winning the Rumble, and who else has she beat? Just Bayley, who I've beaten. So yeah, I think I'm feeling that she's going to sort of dismiss her, and that's going to sort of organically turn the crowd against her, even without actually. She's not the sort of person who has to say, "Oh, I don't like the crowd," to become a heel. She can just hype up that cockiness that she has to become one like that. Yeah, exactly. So. Like I say, everyone got over here. Everyone was good, and I thought it was good. The next segment was easily the weirdest of the night with Bad Bunny. I had no idea who Bad Bunny was. I still don't.
Yeah.
No. And I put on my notes: the less said, the better. I also put that GIF with a GIF on Facebook. One's like, "I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish." Because no idea. The only thing I understood in that 2 minutes of filler was Booker T saying, "Can you dig that sucker?" Which in 2021, I didn't think that'd be the only thing I understood in the wrestling segment. But
yeah, I kind of didn't see the value that I did to the actual event itself. With no fans there, it just. And for me, and it's just a personal choice, it wasn't my sort of music. It didn't really sink in with the WWE feel, which is more sort of a rocky.
Yeah, you think of like theme tune
vibe.
Think of like the music.
That's the kind of music they go with. And, similar to the Raw entrance title now, and they're kind of like a hip hoppy way with that, which doesn't quite work for me. I say it was always like an energetic, rocky, sort of heavy metal-y sort of music idea. And I think, in all honesty, I kind of fast-forwarded through that segment and tried to just get back on with the actual event itself.
With the action, yeah. You're right. Right, next we got the Women's Rumble. Was it the Women's Rumble next? Or was it Reigns versus Owens? I can't remember.
Yes. No, it was the Women's Rumble
Women's
next.
Rumble next.
And off, that was some match.
That was amazing. Like I say, Rumble, the Women's Rumble, this is the first one that sort of kept me all the way through. There wasn't times where I thought, this is dragging a little bit. It kept me the whole way through. Obviously, Bianca Belair winning from number 3, which is a nice spot. Like I say, they did. I felt like they almost blew their load a little bit with the big entrances early. I did record them all down.
Yeah, a little bit.
But then they sort of like filled it in the middle and then got back to some big stars at the end, which was good.
It took them a while for the first eliminations. At one point, there was about 15 people in the ring at one point. It was like, didn't know where to look. And obviously the surprises were coming in, and there were some very good surprises coming in. Like I said, I think we mentioned Mickie James. I think we mentioned Tori Wilson.
Yeah.
So great to see them still packing punches. Victoria, yeah. I mean, when Gillian Hall came in, I couldn't help but laugh. I was like, oh no, she's back.
She's got that awful sort of like heat that isn't really heat. It's just like, oh, she's so embarrassing kind of thing, which is what she was all about. And to be fair,
she was the work for Guerrero, wasn't she? Let's face it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was great.
But yeah, really good. I think we agreed that Belair would probably be the Iron Lady of the matchup, which indeed it turns out she was.
Yeah.
I was very surprised, obviously, with my pick for Alexa and going down the sort of Firefly Funhouse, the switching of the character, which they sort of almost blew past and had her eliminated quite quickly. It was almost a little bit redundant for Alexa, given how high up she's been on the Raw roster with this whole Firefly Funhouse and Fiend association. And at that point, I think, in my mind, I kind of knew it was gonna boil down to Ripley and Belair, especially with Bayley going so early as well. Belair knocking Bayley out quite early in the match. So I kind of knew, I think the last 3 was it Charlotte, Belair, and Ripley, and I kind of at that point I knew it was going to be between Ripley and Belair. As I said, at the moment I'm not the biggest fan of Belair. She still has a lot of work to do, in my opinion. I think she's got a lot of promo work she needs to do. A bit of ring work as well, a bit of the interactions that she has needs a bit of work. No question, she's definitely one for the future and definitely one to keep our eyes on. But for me, Alexa was the one that should have won this, I think. Ripley, great to see Ripley there. She did a great job as well. And it's time for her to step up now to the main roster. Obviously, I know we're going to come on to Raw shortly. I was quite surprised we didn't see her on Raw, or suggest that she's maybe going to go to SmackDown.
Potentially.
So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. But fair play, Belair, she was in there for number 3, won it. Felt that the tears at the end were a little bit made up, a little bit crocodile-y. It was like either cry properly or just don't cry at all. Just say your thank yous and head on back. But again, that's the work that I mentioned for Belair, that she can move forwards with, and there's time for her. I'd say, going back to the Banks Belair situation, that's the match for me. I don't see Oscar versus Belair. I don't see the point in Belair going back for the NXT championship, because she's only just come up from NXT. So that would be kind of fruitless. So yeah, Banks Belair, got to make sure we switch and turn Banks into a heel, and then make Belair the underdog. And like I say, if there is fans there, that's going to hopefully get a good pop for Belair moving forwards.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you, actually. I always thought this was a little bit too soon. That's why I predicted against her. But she was excellent in the match. She did really well. She showed her skills in the ring, which are good. I think she does need a bit of fine tuning. Like I say, promos and stuff, I never really enjoy them as much as I think I probably could. I think she's better than what she's done so far, promo-wise. Like I say, all cocksure that she was going to beat Bailey, and then when she did, she was really surprised and almost in tears about that. Shocked that she'd won, kind of thing. And then obviously the Royal Rumble, she's, I'm going to the EST, and then I won, but I'm a bit surprised, and the crocodile tears didn't really move me. But yeah, no, like, she's a good winner. I think they missed an opportunity to do some more with Alexa. But I think, like I say, they always wanted a SmackDown winner. I think that's what they were going for, was Belair versus Banks, and I assume that's what it was going to be. A couple of little notes I made. Victoria, Tori Wilson, Alicia Fox. She always amuses me. Not because she's amusing, because it just reminds me of when who's the guy, the Scottish guy she was with, he would. It
was Noam Dar.
Noam Dar. Alicia Fox. It just reminded me of that, to be honest. And there was that little segment with Truth and Alicia, which was quite funny.
Yeah,
I'm not really a fan of that normally, of the Truth running in and the 24/7 people running in as well. But I think it was actually fitting because obviously they used to hang together. It was quite funny. Also, I've got to give
special.
What was that?
I was going to say, I've got to give special mention. Best elimination of the night's got to go to Lana.
Yes, she finally
eliminated Nia Jax. Best elimination of the women's rumble's got to go to Lana for eliminating Nia Jax. That was like
definitely
the payback was deserved for what was it, that 10, 11 weeks of going through the announce table.
In an announce table, yeah. It was like, when is she not going to go through an announce table? But yeah, it was good to see. That's the one thing I thought would happen with Lana if she was in it. I thought she would eliminate Nia, and she did, which is fantastic. The other one I wanted to just mention, I know you're not a big fan, but Billie Kay had me in stitches in that match. Approaching people, and then there was an awkward Iconics moment where Peyton came in and they started doing the Iconics moves, and then Ruby Riott was looking at her and saying, "I thought you were with us." And then she's like, "Oh, I don't really know what I'm doing." But no, she went on commentary, which was.
And then Jillian pans out of the ring.
And then Jillian eliminated her. Who would have thought that would be the way that went? As much as I think that they're go on. Oh, we've frozen a little bit.
I thought you'd saying my connection's unstable. I'm not sure why.
I had
overall, I was going to say it was a good women's rumble. There was certainly some moments, and I will admit I'm not Billie Kay's biggest fan either, but it was she did make me laugh when she kept going up to everyone with a CV, and she started off at the commentator's desk, and it's like, will she get in? Won't she get in? What's going to happen? So credit where credit is due for that on Billie Kay's part.
Yeah, she amused me quite a bit in it. It was quite funny. I did think she was going to get straight in and get thrown out again by the time she got in, but no, it was quite funny, and it was quite good to see that Iconics, Ruby Riott, and Jillian Hall end up throwing her over, which was hilarious. And so I say, Jillian, it's almost like Jillian is the old Billie Kay, and Billie Kay's the new Jillian, because she's always comedy fodder, wasn't she? And that's how they're utilising Kay at the minute.
Yeah.
But no, like I say, overall good rumble, really good. And like I say, as soon as Charlotte went and it was Belair Rhea, I realised my pick wasn't going to be the one. I thought if Charlotte had stayed in it, it was Rhea and Charlotte. I thought Rhea would have got her revenge from WrestleMania last year. But as soon as Charlotte went first and it left Belair and Rhea, I knew Belair was going to win. Which, like I say, not a bad thing after the Rumble, but it just wasn't my pick. But yeah, all right.
I think the Rumble panned out the way it should.
Yeah, definitely. It just shows they booked it correctly because it was good. Right, let's move on. Next one was Reigns Owens for the Universal Championship, as I call it. This was great.
Wow. Great match. Great match right up until Heyman got involved at the end, and it's like,
yeah, Heyman just could.
What you do?
Heyman is great at almost everything, and it turns out the one thing he's not very good at is uncuffing handcuffs or picking locks with his feet. He's brilliant everywhere else, but he just took forever. And even with the referee out, and the new referee came at the wrong time, because in theory the new ref could have counted Reigns out as well by the time Heyman had thing, and then they managed to get Reigns just to sit up.
Yeah.
But then he hadn't really done much to Kevin Owens, so Kevin Owens could have gone and kicked him back down again. So, and taken Heyman out, to be honest. So I didn't like that part, but everything else was gold. I think after a rumble where it's all in the ring, it was quite good, because this wasn't much in the ring. It was all out of the ring. There were some fantastic spots. Man, can Kevin Owens take a bump? Getting run over by a golf buggy.
Yeah. Golf buggy.
Yeah. Getting thrown off the stage.
It's just like...
It was like the Terminator. He just kept falling through things and then getting up and still...
Yeah, fair play to Kevin Owens.
He sold...
The man's a machine.
Yeah. Bear in mind, he's done all this...
Absolute monster. Brilliant. Brilliant match. Apart from the botch at the end, it was a great match. Owens just like one absolute machine. He sold the match well. It made Reigns, it solidified him as a heel even more so. And as we said, I think Reigns is going to keep the belt for some time to come. I think it's obviously you're going to now look for the next feud with Reigns. So obviously we'll probably go on to that a little bit more towards the end of our Rumble review.
Indeed.
But yeah, I think time for Owens to move on now. Not sure where he's going to move on to. I think we'll probably maybe give him a couple of weeks off just to let his body catch up with itself. So I'm sure I'm sure he left limbs behind in the Thunderdome. So he needs to I think he needs that a little bit of time just to relax, refresh, and then come back. Maybe even switch him up again, make him a bit of a heel, or team back up with Sami Zayn. They were always a good combination.
Yeah.
And who knows? But what match? Yeah, what match?
Yeah, I think they made me for a couple of seconds believe that Reigns was going to lose, which was I think the best thing they could have done with this match. Because everybody thought and presumed that Reigns was going to win somehow. There was no main event Jey Uso, either in the Rumble or to interfere. It was just Heyman. So I don't know what's happened with Jey, because he announced himself for the Rumble as well, but it wasn't in it. So they didn't really explain that. But like I say, it was a great match, and the ending didn't really take the shine off it. It just was awkward to watch. Paul Heyman just wrestle around with the pair of keys.
Yeah, it was. It was always like, well, get on with it, and then they finally sorted it, and then match kind of abruptly ended in the right way, and it was always going to be Reigns. So
Fantastic.
Bit of practice makes perfect.
Indeed, Paul. We need to step up his kit unlocking game. Right, let's move on to the main event, the Rumble, the men's Rumble. What did you think of this?
Where to begin? Where to begin? I mean, I think we've got to start with 1 and 2. Randy Orton, Edge. They went for each other, absolutely insane. Edge was just, he was like a man possessed.
Yeah.
And then obviously Orton taking the knock to the knee. The minute he started getting walked away by doctors, I kind of knew. It's probably just experience from watching Rumbles gone by. You knew that Orton was coming back. You knew that he was coming back. Whether it was to come back and take out Edge or not, you just knew that he wasn't done in the Rumble.
No.
There's some great sort of story building in there. I thought, what an entrance by Priest. Absolutely brilliant entrance by him.
Yeah.
And again, well deserved. He's done really well in NXT. He put in a solid match for Karrion Kross, which obviously was that his last appearance in NXT?
No, because leading on to later on, he'll be on NXT tonight. But I think that'll be his last. I believe that'll be his last appearance.
Right. See, I've not seen that yet. But yeah, and he had a solid performance. I think he dropped out Kane which is no easy feat in a Royal Rumble. So yeah, well done to Damien Priest. For me, Christian, wow.
What a pop I did.
That was if there'd have been a crowd there, that would have been a pop almost on the level that Edge got last year. I mean, that was incredible to see him come back, and you just did. I want to know, did Edge know he was?
He genuinely looked surprised.
Seen him back.
He genuinely.
He looked like he was like, "Are you shitting me? Oh, sorry, are you joking? Are you back? Is this real?"
Yeah.
So it was like, what? Let's see what more comes from Christian, because Christian's music just has that ring to it when it plays. You just hear that. So
I'm upset they didn't go with his old music.
For me as well, I've got to go for the best.
I didn't catch that, Graham. We've got you frozen. Right, I'm going to fill for a minute. Let me just bear with me a second.